Next question is about HSRs, or health and safety representatives, and I know WorkSafe sees them as a great asset to us and play a very important role in the legislation. But can a HSR be prosecuted under the new manslaughter laws? Who'd like to take that one?
I think you're absolutely right in calling out the importance of HSRs, or health and safety reps, in Victorian workplaces, and in fact their importance is enshrined in our legislation as a result of that. So I think it goes back to our earlier discussion on officers and employees, and it would have to fall on the facts that sit within an inquiry should a HSR be involved or in some way related to an incident occurring at a workplace.
Yeah, look, I think that's absolutely the correct answer. I'm guessing the question is interested in really whether or not there's some possibility for imputing some responsibility to an HSR for some broader breach. It does all turn on its facts, but it is difficult to foresee a circumstance where that might happen.
Okay.
I'm going to add. I'm going to say exactly the same thing as Gordon just said. That as they were talking, I cannot foresee a way that an HSR would be charged under the new provision.
And that's primarily because of who the duty holder is. So the duty holder is, in the case of a Section 21, for instance, is the employer. It's not the HSR. And that being the case, then there wouldn't be a breach by the HSR of that section. But of course, it's different if we're talking about a person who is an HSR but also happens to moonlight doing other sort of work, then they could be prosecuted in some other context. So it all depends on the facts. But
I'm not sure that HSR make significant decisions that affect the operational side of the business or the financial side.
That's my understanding with HSR.
I think that's the key. I think it's all about to what extent the control is exercised. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I'm going to say I cannot foresee a single factual scenario where an HSR could or would be charged.
Not impossible, but
it's
very hard to say.
Like as I understand it, HSRs are elected by their designated work group to represent the people they work with, and while they have powers under the Act, they actually don't have, am I correct in saying they don't actually have obligations?
They're also employees, and employees are specifically excluded from the operation of that provision. Okay. So the management and control that they do exercise, or the decision-making power do exercise, it's not the decision-making power in the wider sense of operational of the business.
Next question is a little bit tied up with some of the stuff I think we spoke about before about communication and potentially even HSRs. Some employees are afraid to speak out in the risk of losing their job if something is not right at work or is out of place. How should this be approached?
It's a tricky one. Thankfully, our legislation has provisions that causes an offence should someone their employment is injured in any way as a result of raising a health and safety issue. So that's number one. I think number two, though, this highlights the importance of HSR's engagement with your workforce, how you consult with your workforce on what it is that you're doing in your business, and if there are health and safety issues, how you actually talk with your staff about it. For employers that do take a different approach with employees and do terminate or harm employment in any way, shape or form as a result of raising an issue, it's an issue within itself, and it will be looked at fairly seriously from WorkSafe's perspective.
Mm. So if I'm a worker and I've raised some issues but I'm still concerned and nothing's happening, what else can I do? I don't have a HSR. What can I do?
Call WorkSafe. WorkSafe, we have an advisory line which anyone can contact WorkSafe and talk about an issue in a workplace, and we will then look at that particular issue and ensure that we send appropriate resources or appropriate people with appropriate skills to go and look at that issue in that workplace.